Thank you, Mr. Liu. I know many of my colleagues touched on the election irregularities and some of the concerns about it, so I want to segue a little bit. Just a few weeks ago, the government of Pakistan approved plans to begin construction on a pipeline to transport natural gas from Iran to Pakistan. Iran constructed its side of the pipeline years ago, and now Pakistan has finally decided to move forward. Mr. Liu, do you view this pipeline as Pakistan aligning itself with Iran?
I mean, it's a really interesting question, Representative Lawler, because Pakistan and Iran just traded missile and drone strikes a few weeks ago. So it has been true over time that Pakistan and Iran have had ups and downs in their relationship. They're at a pretty low point today. We are tracking this planned pipeline between Iran and Pakistan. Honestly, I don't know where the financing for such a project would come from. I don't think many international donors would be interested in funding such an endeavor. We've also not heard from the government of Pakistan a desire for a waiver of American sanctions that would certainly result from such a project. Instead, what we are undertaking in the administration is to have a conversation with Pakistan. What are Pakistan's other alternatives? How can we compete for that business? Where can they find other non-Iranian sources of natural gas? And how can we help Pakistan think about the transition to clean energy? Pakistan's very interested in providing energy through solar, through wind, through hydro. How can that begin to replace their dependence on coal and other hydrocarbons?
Okay. So have you expressed direct concern with the Pakistani government on this issue?
We are in consultation with the Pakistani government on this issue, yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, my concern is that Iran is the greatest state sponsor of terror. They use the illicit Iranian petroleum oil trade to finance terrorism. Since Joe Biden took office, nearly $88 billion in increased revenue has resulted because of lax enforcement on sanctions. It's why I introduced the SHIP Act to increase secondary sanctions on the purchase of Iranian petroleum. It passed through the House overwhelmingly with bipartisan support and has since stalled in the Senate because the White House doesn't want it. So from my vantage point, when we talk about other alternatives that Pakistan may be able to engage on, why don't we start by cracking down on the illicit oil trade? Why is the administration taking a very lax approach to cracking down on Iranian petroleum?
Sir, the administration will uphold both the letter and the spirit of all sanction laws, particularly those related to Iran.
You think an increase of $88 billion in revenue is upholding the letter and spirit of the law?
Sir, I am not an expert in Iranian energy exports, but what I know as a person who has a car that's fueled by gasoline is all of us have paid for higher gasoline after Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And
well, that's also a result in this country of us limiting production of oil and natural gas in this country. That's why we're dealing with our own energy challenges.
Sir, if I could answer your question,
well, you went in a total non sequitur.
I fully support the efforts by the U.S. government to prevent this pipeline from happening. We are working towards that goal, sir.
Okay. How does the administration view Pakistan's relationship with the Taliban?
With suspicion, sir.
And so what are we doing based on that suspicion?
So I think it is well known that previous governments of Pakistan have had close relations with the Taliban. Currently, the greatest terrorist threat faced by the people of Pakistan emanates from Afghanistan. And the relationship between Pakistan and the Taliban is about the same as the relationship between the United States and the Taliban. It is very strained and difficult. We have a very important dialogue with the Pakistani government about the Taliban, how to help shape its behavior, how to help make sure the Taliban upholds its commitments.
Last question. Why was Pakistan excluded from the administration's Indo-Pacific strategy?
Sir, it's a way that we define the Indo-Pacific, and it's not only this administration, it's the last administration as well. For whatever reason, I suspect it has to do with COCOM authority between the Indo-Pacific Command and Central Command. The dividing line of the Indo-Pacific is the line between Pakistan and India.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back to my good friend, Dean Phillips. And thank you, Assistant Secretary Liu, for your service to our country. I want to focus on the plight of women in Pakistan for a few minutes. I am very concerned about the treatment of women in Pakistan, including female journalists and women harassed and arrested at protests and rallies leading up to the election. As you know, Pakistan is routinely rated near the bottom of the world in terms of women's inclusion, justice, safety, and security. So can you talk to us about how the State Department is working to address gender-based violence and highlight and improve the safety, the rights, the inclusion, and representation of women in Pakistan's democracy?
Representative Manning, such an important question. I wish I had my wife here sitting next to me. I met my wife in Pakistan. She was an American refugee worker working with Afghans, but her academic subject matter of specialty is gender-based violence, and she has worked in Pakistan on this very issue. What I would say about Pakistan, its human rights, the rights of women, I say about many countries, but I really mean it, which is we as foreign partners aren't going to be able to change Pakistan. Who will change Pakistan? Pakistani people will. And we see that very strong desire of women across Pakistan to be heard, to be represented, and to have their rights respected by the institutions of government as well as by the rest of society. I see great victories in Pakistan every day. There have, as I mentioned, double the number of women elected to this parliament.
And do you see that as a positive moment that will actually give hope and perhaps achieve new things for women in Pakistan?
I see the emergence of female leaders in Pakistan at every level as being the examples that will lead their society forward. You are entirely right. At the village level in Pakistan, lives for women are incredibly difficult. I see more women today in senior positions in business. I see them on the high court. I see them in parliament. I see them as ministers. Honestly, some days Pakistanis are doing better than Americans on some of these questions. It is a struggle for all of us, but I do credit the very brave women and young girls who are leading this path in Pakistan. And I think as foreign partners, we need to put our resources, our public statements, and our activism behind Pakistani female leaders.
And can you